All
Okay.
right. So we can get started. Welcome, everyone. If anyone's joining us live to the School Marketing Show Live, my name is Kristen Doverspike. I am inbound marketing manager here at Finalsite, and I am joined by.
I am Mia. I am Finalsite's Director of Demand Generation, and I have been at Finalsite for going on almost 7 years now. So it seems like it's been a long time coming to finally have a Facebook live show here with Kristen. So we're excited.
Yeah, so just to give you a quick background, this is our first episode of the School Marketing Show Live. So, really, the origins of this was that here at Finalsite, professional development and education are huge pieces of our core culture. And we really wanted to provide a new format for schools and districts around the world to really get best practices on anything when it comes to marketing, communications, advancement, admissions, really, you name it. We're hoping to cover all of these topics here on our show. So, we chose the live format because we would really love to introduce Q&As. So while we're doing this, we would love to hear from you. We chose our topic for the first episode, but we would really love to hear from you in the comments on things that you would really like to hear from us and really work on for your own school or district strategy. So we're really excited to get started. Today, we're going to be talking about value propositions, but really with all of our episodes here, we're going to be covering key things with each of the topics. So we're going to be going over the who, the what, the where, when, why, and most importantly, how. So you can really get some takeaways for your own school or district strategy. We're really getting back to basics with this first episode. So today we're going to be talking about value propositions. So with all of the marketing communications changes that are happening in light of COVID-19, questions have been flowing into our inboxes here at Finalsite, like what should we be posting on social media? What is a good landing page? What should I be putting into my digital ads? How do I go about building my digital campus? So really that entire virtual experience for your school. And really, to answer that question, we bring on a different question that's what is your value proposition or what is your value promise? And in most cases, schools and districts don't have an answer to that. So we really want to just have you stop what you're doing right now and join us and really listen in on what you can do to identify your value proposition and go from there, because really this will help you filter through all of your content moving forward, and we'll get into that. So I'll just let Mia take it and really get into what is your value proposition.
Thank you so much, Kristen. So, yes, first and foremost, we're just going to answer the question, what is a value proposition? And I think that one of my favorite things about value propositions is it is one of the only pillars of a marketing strategy that has not changed. The term was actually introduced for the first time in 1988. So it has been around for a while. And unlike a lot of strategies and ideas that shift and change with the times and technologies, value proposition has pretty much stayed exactly the same. And the original definition of that was a clear, simple statement of the benefits, both tangible and intangible, that a company, or in this case, a school or district, will provide, along with the approximate price it will charge each customer segment for those benefits. So, simply put, it is an explanation of what makes your school or district so great and what makes it worth the price. So, in the case of a private school, why is your school worth the tuition that you're charging? What makes you so unique? And then, actually, in the case of a district, what is it that makes your district special that is going to force a family to maybe move from the town that they're living in to the town where your district is so that their children can be a part of that educational experience? Or even on the flip side, for families that had children in private school that due to COVID-19 might be thinking about a public school system, what is the value promise that you can share that is different than the surrounding different districts and the private schools in the area? So, first and foremost, I think it's important to cover what a value proposition is not. A value proposition is not a slogan. It's not a tagline. It's not a list of offerings. It was a while back, I wrote a blog post, the 10 most overused words on school websites. And when you think about your value proposition, I want you to think of the most uncommon terms that you can use to describe your school. because it's not going to be that you have outstanding academics. It's not going to be that you have premier faculty. And in 2020, it's not going to be that you have a beautiful campus. It's going to be an explanation of how your school's experience shapes the students that are there and why it is worth either a financial commitment or a total lifestyle change. I don't want to get too far into the weeds there, but I do want to say every school should have one overarching value proposition. But you also might have some smaller value propositions that you share, for your academics or your athletics. But really what we want to do is identify the key benefits and think about the value that those key benefits offer. So I'm going to quickly kind of take you through like the structure of one school's value proposition to help maybe give you an idea of how like a value proposition differs from a slogan, a tagline, a mission statement, and then even a bold statement you might make about your school. So I've chose Derby Academy, which is a private school up in Massachusetts. And the school's motto is improve both mind and heart. Now, that's not a value proposition. It is a beautiful motto. It's a lovely tagline. It looks great on marketing materials, but it doesn't really sell the value of the school. So in order to take that motto and turn it into a value proposition, what we need to do is answer the question, well, why is improving mind and heart important? And what kind of value does that bring to the individual student? How does that shape their life? So on Derby Academy's website, they actually answer this question. They say that Derby Academy is a school in which strong interpersonal relationships and rigorous programs work together to ensure that children flourish. And I think that we can kind of infer that, well, when we say children flourish, they are improving both their mind and their heart. There's one more thing that I want to say when it comes to value proposition that's really important, is that it has to be true. While we encourage you to look to your competitors for inspiration for what a value proposition might look like, we certainly don't want to steal their value propositions or even things they might be saying about themselves already. So Derby Academy has made the bold claim on their website. And Kristen, I think we found a few of these across different school and district websites across the country. Right. But Derby Academy claims they are the best educational choice on the South Shore for pre-K through grade 8 education. And as a parent or as a prospective parent looking at their website and engaging with their content, I can believe that. I think that's true. But now more than ever, a school needs to be able to fulfill that value promise. If you're making a claim on your website that you will help children flourish and that you're the best educational choice in a particular area, that's a very, very bold statement. Yes, it is a value proposition. Yes, it shares value and definitely proves to someone visiting your website why they should even inquire at your school. But once they've inquired and applied and are even enrolled at your school, fulfilling that value promise is so, so, so important. So as you think about creating that value proposition and what it is and what it means to your school, I urge you to consider how you can go about fulfilling that value proposition. So that is a brief history, an example, and a definition of what a value proposition is. I'm going to kick it over to Kristen to talk about why a value proposition is so important.
Yes. So now that you've kind of gotten an overview and a better understanding of what that value proposition is, it's important to think about why it's important. Now, it was one of the most frequently asked questions that we got during our school marketing day event last month, and it's something that is very much top of mind. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, your value proposition was still important. It outlined your value differentiators. It, identified your unique values, but even after COVID-19 now, it's more important than ever before. Everything you put out there should be filtered through your value proposition. So this goes back to that question that we had right at the beginning. Can my school post on social media? What can be in our ads? You can really start with this value proposition and then move on with your content from there. So It's very important from that aspect. If you are looking to, build out all of your content, your different experiences, your digital campus, it's important to think about this value proposition. So especially today, seeing as families of prospective parents are not able to schedule an in-person tour or really meet with you in person to get a sense of your school's value, it's important to think of your value proposition as this in-person conversation. Instead, it's now conveyed online. So think about why your school is unique, a lot of the things that Mia just laid out, but you should be answering why your school is worth the price. So if you aren't already thinking about this, you should be rethinking your value proposition for today's landscape. So think about it in light of distance learning. What is your school offering for distance learning opportunities? What are your school to home communications like? Think about that as you're going through your value proposition. Think about your faculty communications and also what your plan for the future is. So obviously now everything has changed, and so your value proposition should really shift with that. And when you are able to identify all of those things and how it should be changing in light of everything today, that will help you move with your content moving forward. So that's just a really quick overview of why it's important and what you can really do to start thinking about it today. And I'm going to shoot it right back over to Mia to talk about some of the who's, the when's, the where's, and just thinking about how you can move on with this value proposition.
Absolutely. And Kristen, you bring up so many important points, especially in light of COVID-19. So the next question we're going to answer is, who should have a value proposition? And the answer is everyone, whether you are an independent school, a public school, a charter, international school. It is so important that you have a value proposition now more than ever. And again, you might have more than one value proposition at your school for different departments, but we want that one big overarching value proposition that really speaks to the value of your school overall. Now for districts too, I think this is where things can get a little muddied and complicated, because I think a lot of districts have a district-wide value promise, but some of those individual schools might also have individual value propositions and value promises as well. But I think if you're just getting started, having that one overarching value promise and value proposition that you can begin with can help you create those slight variations for your different departments or your different schools. Now, two more questions. When should you use a value proposition and where should you use a value proposition? It's important to use it at every single touch point that you get. So I think often it is really enticing to use a really cool tagline or a really fun motto. But taglines and mottos are fun and they're great for, I think like football teams and big brands. But when we need to sell value at every touch point, making sure the value proposition is actually the first thing they see is so important. We only have, 7 seconds to capture someone's attention. And of course, a beautiful, well-designed website is going to help keep someone engaged, at least online immediately. But if there's just a bunch of fluff, that's not going to help sell the value of your school. So we need to make sure that our value proposition is used as the main cover of the story of your school online. So that being said, I encourage you to write your value proposition and use it as the filter for all content that you put across the internet, in your print ads, wherever it may be. I'm going to use the example of Laurelton Hall here to kind of share what I mean by that. So Laurelton Hall's value proposition is empowering women for life. So as Laurelton Hall chooses which testimonials to use and chooses what to post on social media and chooses even the structure of their homepage, what content to put in an email campaign, what to run in a social media ad, or what to try to rank for in search, all of that should be put through that filter of empowering women for life. Does this all tie back to what we strive to do as an institution and what our differentiator is? So really, the long story short is you should use your value proposition whenever and wherever you get the chance to. And it should definitely precede mottos and taglines in terms of your marketing content, because it's a much, much, much more important simplified statement to get out there than a fun motto. So that being said, Kristen, I'm sure, for those who are on the call or who those who are tuning into us live who might not have a value proposition, wondering, well, all of this sounds really important, but I don't really know what to do next. I know you have some really good simple steps that any school or district can follow in order to identify what their unique value proposition is.
Yes. So now we are at the end of all of the who, what, when, where. We are now at the how. And this is one of the most important things now that you have gotten all of this information that Mia and I have shared so far, and really taking it and then answering these questions to be able to actually identify it and move on. So it's very easy, you know, as Mia was saying earlier, to think about your value proposition as a motto, maybe something a little more general. That is easy to do. You know, you can say that your school or district is the best in the area. You need to make sure that it's true. But when you are thinking about your value proposition, one of the easiest things you can do then is really focus on the 5% that makes you special, the really small thing that makes you different from any other schools or districts, and really put that at the forefront. So everything else other than that should be secondary. Really try to hone in on that short percentage that makes you special and move forward from there. So really, you can take on 3 really quick steps. So first, identify who your ideal prospects are. Who is the family that you are trying to reach? Think about how you would reach them. Second, understand how you bring them value. So this really comes back to that 5% that makes you special. What can you offer them? And then third, think about what is unique to you. So know what you can offer uniquely well, or at least better than most. So whatever it is that is the little 5% that makes you special, make sure that you can either do it better than most schools or districts, or it truly is unique to you. And think about how you can provide value in that for your prospective families. So just ask yourself, 1, is the value proposition unique to my school? Think about all of that. Make sure that you are not offering something that any other school or district could offer. Second, of course, can another school say the same thing? So think about your value proposition as a whole as the actual statement, and think to yourself, can a nearby school or district say the same exact thing on their materials and have it make sense? Because if it can, you maybe should go back and rethink your strategy. Think about, again, what makes you special and how you can really change that to be unique to your school. And then third, just really, how is my school doing this better than anyone else? Because that really will help identify the main value. So you think about what makes you special, but then think about how you're doing it better. So if a prospective family is looking at your school or district, they can clearly see what you're doing that is better than any other school or district in the area. And once you answer these questions, that will really help you construct your entire value proposition. And then from there, move on with your other communications. Think about your social media content. Think about maybe digital ads that you have running. Think about the content on your website and your digital campus, like we were talking about earlier. Think about your entire online experience, how your school is conveying that experience online, and using your value proposition as the foundation for all of that messaging. So I hope that all of these steps were helpful. I'll kind of throw it back over to Mia to give some, final thoughts of wisdom.
Yeah, so all really good tips. And I think, Kristen, I think you did a fantastic job just summarizing there at the end with those 3 bullet points about how to identify your value proposition. So, identifying who those families are, understanding how you bring them value, and then, of course, understanding how you bring them value uniquely well. There are a lot of private schools out there. There are a lot of public schools, and now more than ever in this time of uncertainty, we've said it a million times, the competition is going to be steeper than ever. So taking a step back and analyzing your value proposition and saying, is this the best representation of our school? Can we make it better? Even just taking a step back to analyze it in that regard is going to help you build the foundation for the online and hopefully eventually in-person experiences that we offer. So again, if you don't have a value proposition, there's never been a better time to create one than now. And that is pretty much the takeaway.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining our first school marketing show live. To kind of reiterate what Kristen said at the beginning, this was our very first live show. This is our very first episode of the school marketing show. So while we chose the topic value propositions, just because it's been a hot topic in our inboxes lately, we are encouraging you to submit your questions, what strategies you want to know more about. And we will be going live every other Friday. And maybe, as time goes on, maybe that'll pick up. But for now, it'll be every other Friday so that it gives us time to research and find examples and bring you the same quality content that you're used to seeing on our blog and on our webinars. We're just hoping that this is another avenue of reaching you guys and providing you some content to help you feel inspired and motivated and ready to forge ahead. We know these weeks are long, these days are long. As I've constantly been saying, what a year this week has been. We just hope to be a little piece of inspiration in your week. So please comment below if you have any questions or topics you want covered. Our inboxes are always open as well. And other than that, happy strategizing. We hope that you guys take on this project and come up with an amazing value proposition. If you do, we would love to see it. So share it with us below.